Hi guys, it's Jamie, and for the life of me, welcome to For the Life of Me. Now let's get into it. When I packed my whole life in 2 suitcases last year and moved all the way across the world to Toronto, I had no idea what I was doing. And then settling, I was like, okay, where can I get all the information I need? I had no one resource to answer all or majority of my questions. So after much research, I decided to be that one resource for people who had the same or similar questions to the ones I had when I got here. So on that note, I bring to you the top 10 things you should know as an international student arriving and settling in Canada. Welcome. You should know though that everything I say in this video is based on my personal opinion, research, and experience. I have not been paid by anybody to promote any brands. This is just all I have been using while I have been here. Now let's get into it. Tip time, drum roll. First tip or first struggle, culture shock. You're gonna have to deal with new people, new food, a new language for some people, or at least a different accent, and you're gonna have to deal with possibly being jet lagged on the first week of class. I know I was not in the mood to talk to anybody, and there's no one solution for that. You just have to ride the waves, and after a while of trying to get your local food and getting tired, you will resort to eating pizza all day. And something else was not knowing calendar days, so people will be off to reading week or something and you just are stuck with Netflix. On the bright side, you save some money. Hey, struggle number 2, money. So you came here with all this cash. Okay, I'm imagining you came here at least with some US dollars or some Canadian dollars. You have 2 options. You can put it under your bed or you can take it to the bank. I'm trusting you take it to the bank. So I need you to know that Canada uses this thing called the credit system, where pretty much the government borrows you some money, expects you to use it so that they can assess how good of a resident you are, in the sense of how good are you with your finances. Open a bank account, most likely you're gonna have a debit card and a credit card. I'd advise you shop around because being new in Canada sucks in the sense that you cannot get a credit limit over $1,000 for a month. Some banks will offer you $500. My bank offers me $1,000, and that's the most you can get as a new resident in Canada. So on that note, I'd like to say that the 3 or top 4 banks in Canada you could go and ask about plans from are TD Bank, Turnt Dominion Bank, RBC, Royal Bank of Canada, Scotia Bank, and BMO, Bank of Montreal, in no particular order. So when you go to your bank, make sure you ask about student plans and also new to Canada account plans. Another tip is to make sure you come with an international card, something that is MasterCard or Visa. Depending on when you can get an account, you can still use your international card while you're here. Struggle number 3 or tip number 3, accommodation. So where do I live? I'm not gonna live on the bridges. So I advise the first thing you do once you land is to go to your school and try to talk to your international center to provide you some options. And in lieu of that, you have 2 major options, which are to live on campus or off campus. So on campus means living in residence. It's a little more expensive, but it's more accessible when it comes to distance from your classes, I imagine. But living off campus, there are options where you could do homestay, living with other residents, or you could get your own apartments. I think that's about it. But then, so I'm gonna list a couple sites you could check. You could check placesforstudents.com or .ca. I'll put the link down below for you to check. You could also use Kijiji. Kijiji is Canada's one resource to getting anything you think of that can be bought or sold. Kijiji's got it, I'm sure. But the thing is, you gotta be careful with Kijiji because it's not a controlled site, so you wanna make sure you're dealing with somebody who seems responsible. Another thing you wanna probably look for if you're trying to get an apartment for your own is to check the website view.ca. Again, I'm gonna put the link below. Tip number 4, transportation. So I know where I live, I have some money, I see buses and trains. How do I get on them? How much do I pay? So anyways, you need to know first thing that the Toronto Transit Convention is the main transit system in Toronto, in the GTA. Also, there are other bus companies like the My Way, the Go Transit, and I think the Brampton Transit if you're going towards the Brampton area. But majorly, the TTC, I know for sure, has student plans in the monthly or the weekly form. So the monthly form will be a monthly Metro Pass for about $112, and then you could also get like a weekly tickets thing for students, or you can get tokens. Again, always ask for student plans on whatever you're trying to purchase. And then the monthly pass you can hop on, hop off at any time during the day. Also, you might be looking to buy a car if you don't want to use the Toronto transit system. Buying a car, definitely you need to have a driver's license, which we'll talk about later. But buying a car, you could check around Kijiji. You could also shop around dealerships and also check out the sites like Auto Trader and Car Gurus. I'll put all those links down below for you. Another option to move around is to use the car sharing system. Pretty much is you not owning a car but driving around. There's 3 major car share providers in Toronto. That will be Zipcar, AutoShare, and Car2Go. You can check their different sites for different plans they have. I know Zipcar has a plan for students. You should probably check that too. Also, you can Uber everywhere if you have that money. Or you can just get a bicycle if you're not so far away from, if everything you need to do is not so far away from where you live, and you gotta save the environment too. Tip number 5, you want to be able to talk, you want to be able to communicate. So you want to call home and say, Mama, we made it. So I bring to you different phone carriers. First thing I remember is I could not use the phone I came to Canada with for some network reason with the SIMs here. I don't know why that is. So you'd always need to check with your phone carrier that you want to get that your phone can actually work with their service. So on that note, you need to know that there's 3 big telecommunication phone providers, which are Bell, Rogers, and Telus. And then the average monthly bill for those guys actually range from $62 to $85. A lot. So if you're new like me and you don't have that money to spend, especially because you're a student, I advise you could check out the discount carriers. Some of them would be Wind, Mobilicity, Fido, Chatter, Virgin, Kudo. There's a lot of them. But then on further research, I broke them down to based on like pricing and ease of access. If you ask me, I broke it down to Wind and Mobilicity. Those are the 2 options you want to choose because I think their base rates are about like $35 to $45 a month. And if you're like me and you have to make international calls, you need to check how much those add-ons are for. I know with my phone care provider right now, I pay about 4 cents for a minute to call my home country. You need to check that with your provider. The only thing you might have to deal with is probably with this discount carriers is probably bad network, phone network in certain places like basements. But if you do not make a lot of calls and you need more data, they are probably the best option, as these big guys, the big 3 guys, will give you less data and just better phone service. So pretty much you can't say which is the best or the cheapest one. It all boils down to what your needs are. So you need to shop around. I'm gonna put a link below to pretty much give you an overview of all like the phone carrier options you have while you're here. Tip number 6. That's 6, right? So you're here, you're settled, you're leaving, you have money, you want to shop around. So for shopping, there are a couple places you could go get stuff. I imagine as a student, the first thing you're trying to get are like books. You really, to save money, you really do not have to buy all your textbooks new. You have the option of renting used textbooks or buying off used textbooks. These are cheaper options than buying it out new. So you want to check with your school bookstore in case they offer any book exchange programs or like resources. Alternatively, you can check Kijiji, that site again, for used books. People are willing to sell their books because they no longer need them. And you can also check Amazon. So Amazon sometimes sells some used textbooks. And for other shopping needs, you can also go to malls like Yorkville, Sherway Gardens. There are a couple malls you can go to for like clothing, accessory, and stuff like that. There are outlet malls too that are not big as malls, they're just a couple of shops together. They are sometimes cheaper depending on the store particularly you're going to. And there's some pop-up downtown markets you can check. For groceries, you could buy your groceries off at No Frills, Metro, Food Basics, Sobeys. There's a couple grocery stores. You just want to be able to price compare things and make sure you're getting the best value for your money. And an app that can help you with that, I think, is Flip. I'll confirm and put that down for you. So you pretty much check flyers and stuff like that. You could also use apps like Groupon and Red Flag Deals to make sure you're getting a good price and you're getting stuff during sale seasons, because some things go off season and are cheaper then. Another big thing a lot of international students wonder about is winter clothing, especially people like me who come from a tropical country who like, I hear about snow. How bad is it? So one thing you need to know is you only need like one good jacket and a pair of good boots, and then you're gonna be fine. So it's quite an investment, but it's worth it because you need to not freeze. It's not Game of Thrones. Okay, so an average good jacket, you should look out for a jacket that has down feather. It tends to keep you warmer than one with polyester lining. Just a tip. And it can cost you anything from $100 and something to $300 and something. You do not have to, however, buy a very expensive brand. You really do not. You just have to get something of good quality. Also, you want to have an SPC card. It's a student discount card that gives you about 10% off of most stores. I know my friends all use that. I should get mine soon. Tip number 7. So you want to, sometimes it's always good to have some extra money doing some jobs while you're schooling. So things you need to know to get a job or to work while you're in school is, right now the Canadian government allows for 20 hours of work while you're schooling based on your study permit per week on or off campus. But if you say you want to extend that, the only way you can do that is if you're enrolled in a program that allows for a co-op or an internship. That way you can apply for a co-op work permit that allows you to work full-time during your internship session, pretty much. And to work, you need something called a SIN number. It's called a social insurance number. This is the way the government makes sure you're eligible to work in Canada. Also, you should check your school's career center for job applications to help with your resume and credential assessment, and to actually look out for job postings. You should check things like LinkedIn, Monster, Indeed, and pretty much just search for Facebook groups in your chosen industry. They probably are just asked to get in, and then you can see like more niche job postings. Also, you want to volunteer to events and different activities. That way you build your networking circle, you get to know a lot of people in the city and in your chosen industry or career path. Also, and you want to do informational interviews, pretty much reaching out to people who are already working in the industry and asking for help. So what you should know about it, you can check this website called 1,000 Coffees to meet with people. I'll put the link again down below. Tip number 8, documentation. You want to make sure you have come here with your legal documents such as your birth certificate, your transcripts, any legal document you know you would have used back home. You should come here with them and stow them away safely. So student, you want to remember, if you're not going to leave the country at the end of your studies, you want to renew your study permit 2 months before it expires. Also, your SIN number has to be renewed as well. Remember how we talked about driving and a driver's license? So if you brought a driver's license from your country, most likely if you've been driving for at least 4 years, you can take that to drive test center along with a document from your government, your embassy, your high commission, saying that you've been driving for quite a while, and you can get an entire license based on the number of years. So you can get anything from a G1, a G2, or a full J license. That will enable you to drive in Canada, and that will serve as your ID. However, if you do not drive and you just want an ID instead of carrying your passport around, because that can be really risky, you could go to a Service Ontario and get an Ontario photo ID for about $25, and that would serve as an identification while you're moving around the city. Another thing you need to know is you're entitled, most schools, or if not all, include something called a health insurance. In Ontario, it's called the OHIP, Ontario Health Insurance Program. You want to look at your health insurance, go to the website and see what your health insurance covers so that you can make the most of it. You paid for it after all. Sometimes it covers things like going to the dentist, seeing an ophthalmologist, and even some physiotherapy. You need a birth control, even in some. You need to just know what you cover so you make the most out of it. You don't want to be sick and missing classes and not even getting some proper health care that you deserve. Finally, taxes. In Ontario, you gotta file your taxes. You gotta keep all receipts of all major purchases, and in the first year is overwhelming. I still really do not understand the tax system completely. So you should ask your school for help. Most schools will provide help for especially international students who do not understand this, so look out for that and try to keep major receipts because you will need to. Number 9, extracurricular activities. So you need to, now you're settled, you're grounded, you need to make friends, you need to move around. So you need to say you like a particular sport you used to play back home and you can't find anyone to play with. You can check this website called meetup.com. Based on interest, you can find people who like to play certain games, do certain activities, Some are free, some are paid for. You can check that out. You can also check Yelp for reviews on certain places to go. So if you want to go to a restaurant, top 10 restaurants, Yelp can help with that. And finally, you can also check Blog Talk. They are constantly posting stories about little places and activities that happen within and around the city. And finally, we're tip number 10. This is pretty much about the laws of the land. You remember, the number one thing you should know as regarding law is ignorance is no excuse. You should know that laws differ in different places, so you want to always know the law. I got here and I did not know it was illegal to drink in public. It is. So you need to always check up and make sure you're in line with the law. I'm new here would not save you, so you need to just be sure. And finally, my last free tip for you is use Tinder wisely. So you go about your day with a 4D smile on your face and watch the universe give you one right back. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the comment box below. I'll leave more descriptions on links in my description box. Also, if you like the video, please signify by giving it a thumbs up and sharing if you will. You know, help somebody out there who might need this information too. And you could also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, see what I'm doing when I'm not recording videos. You never know what might be going on. Until next time, it's 4D.